Some folks call me Rusty. Been collecting stories from America's back roads for longer than I care to count. Not the kind you tell around campfires. No, these are the ones locals whisper about in diners when the sun goes down. The ones truckers warn each other about over late-night coffee. Tonight's warning comes from northern New Jersey, Clinton Road. 10 miles of pitch-black asphalt cutting through West Milford's dense woods. Sure looks normal enough in daylight. But ask any local about that stretch after midnight, if they'll talk about it at all. See, back in February of this year, I met a night shift police officer at a diner just off Route 23. Man had this 1,000-yard stare, hands shaking as he stirred his coffee. Said he'd responded to a call out on Clinton Road around 2 a.m. Single car, hazards blinking, pulled off near that old bridge everyone talks about. Standard procedure, right? Except when he pulled up behind it, there wasn't anyone inside. Just a cell phone on the passenger seat. Still recording. And that recording, well, it showed something that made him request early retirement the next day. What he saw on that phone, let's just say there's a reason they tell you not to stop on Clinton Road, especially not near that bridge. Especially not when you see a little boy asking for help, because sometimes that ain't no boy at all. The officer showed me that video before he deleted it forever. Started normal enough. Just someone filming the road ahead, complaining about their GPS acting up. Then the headlights caught something. A small figure. Couldn't have been more than 8 years old. Standing by that bridge's guardrail. Kid was wearing clothes that looked wrong for February. T-shirt, shorts, no coat. Just standing there in the freezing cold. Driver slowed down. Anyone would. That's when the kid turned around. Officer said the face, well, it didn't move right. Like watching a mask try to act human. But by then the driver was already stopping. Last thing on that video was the kid walking toward the car. Walking all wrong. Like something wearing a child's skin, trying to remember how legs work. They found the car's owner 3 days later, walking along Route 23. No memory of those hours. Just keeps talking about coins. See, there's an old story about that bridge. Throw a quarter in the water. It comes back. Sometimes it's warm, like it's been held in small hands. But here's the thing about Clinton Road. That bridge ain't the only thing you gotta worry about. Locals tell stories about the phantom trucks that appear in rearview mirrors, about the cold spots in summer, about the ruins of that old circus compound deep in those woods, and about the screams. God, the screams. I've spent 30 years collecting stories from America's darkest roads. But Clinton Road, there's a reason I only drive it in daylight, and there's a reason I never ever stop. Not even when I see that little boy, standing there in my headlights, holding out a handful of warm quarters. Some warnings ain't just stories, folks. And some roads. Some roads are better left untraveled. Some folks think evil needs a reason. That's what I used to believe, before I heard about Old Alton Bridge down in Denton, Texas. Locals call it the Goatman's Bridge, and let me tell you why. Back in the 1930s, a successful black goat farmer named Oscar Washburn lived near that bridge. Folks called him the Goatman. Man was known for his quality livestock, fair prices, and a sign on the bridge that read, "This way to the Goatman's." August 1938, middle of a hot Texas night. Klan members didn't like seeing a black man succeed, came for Oscar, dragged him to that bridge, threw a rope around his neck, tossed him over the side. But here's where the story turns strange. When they looked over to make sure he was dead, the rope was empty. No body, no Oscar, just swaying rope in the midnight breeze. Those Klansmen went to Oscar's home, meaning to terrorize his family. Never made it there. Their cars were found the next morning, empty. Those men, never seen again. These days, folks say you can still see Oscar on that bridge, but he ain't human no more. What the Klan created that night, well, sometimes hatred makes monsters. Real ones. Local teenagers like to drive out there at night, flash their headlights 3 times, call out Goatman. Most times nothing happens. But sometimes you hear hooves on that old wood. Sometimes you see red eyes in your rearview mirror. And sometimes met a girl at a gas station near there last month. Hands shaking so bad she could barely hold her coffee. Said she and her friends went out there playing that stupid game. They heard something heavy walking on that bridge. Thought it was their friends trying to scare them. Then they saw it. Standing upright but wrong. Horns catching moonlight. Rope still around its neck. And those eyes. Those human eyes in that inhuman face. They found her friend's car 2 days later. Parked neat as you please in front of Oscar's old property. Empty. empty, engine still running, goat hooves printed in the dust on the hood. Some say Oscar still protects his land. Others say what walks that bridge ain't Oscar anymore, just something wearing his pain, his rage. All I know is you don't flash your lights on Old Alton Bridge. You don't call out for the Goatman. And if you hear hooves on wood in the dark, don't look back. Some monsters, they got their reasons. And some bridges, they keep their secrets. Remember that next time you're driving through Denton at night. And if you see a sign reading, "This way to the Goatman's," keep driving. Some directions ain't meant to be followed.